Hello. It says I'm live. Um, I've had this YouTube channel for a number of years. Um, I needed it when I started it. I'd been in a relationship for an online, long distance, age gap relationship for a few years when I started. And I put all of that out there. And I had some interest, but basically, when you get an older man and a younger foreign girl, Dominican Republic, just to get it straight, um, and the old guy comes on and says he's in a relationship with a beautiful young woman from another country, 99% of the people say, stupid old man, and she just wants your money, and you're going to get nothing, and you're going to cry, and you're going to be unhappy. Um, and so I put it out there. Basically, all at once, I did a bunch of videos with just the words and music, not me talking, because I understand the internet is not made for now 71-year-old men to spill their guts or talk about their lives. Um, I was the internet is populated mainly by uh, 12 to 20 somethings, and I was 12 to 20 something at one time, a long time ago, and I had friends my age now when I was that age, and I realized I was the only one that was listening to them because most people just were too busy with their lives and too deeply into their drama. And the older people weren't really relevant to them. Um, I remembered that all of my life. And I always tried to be relevant to people of all ages. Um, as I got older, I found I was less relevant to people my age than I was relevant to people much younger than me. My sweet spot has always been a 14-year-old boy. My daughter, who's 26, tells me that's who I am. My ex-wife number two, through our 20 years of marriage, told me that's who I was. And something, I really like being a 14-year-old boy. Um, I never drank. I I might have been drunk one time, I think, but it's really hard to tell. Um, but I think that being mentally 14 years old, spiritually 14 years old, has been really good for me most of my life. Um, let's go back. My mom and dad were both elementary school principals with masters in elementary education. My mom gave up her career as a administrator and went back to a teacher strictly to raise her two kids, me and my sister is 2.5 years younger than me. I was born in 51. She was born in, let's go with 53. Might have been 54. But anyway, um, she's a wonderful woman. She's got a wonderful family. She basically did everything the way it was expected to be done, not by my parents. My parents, God bless them, were an amazing couple. And they really allowed both of us to be who we wanted to be. She wanted to be that person, I think. Um, I was a bit of a loner. I'm intelligent. Yeah, Not going to make any bones about it. Not that I'm an idiot. Anything that went wrong during my life went wrong without me drinking, smoking, doing drugs, with me fully conscious of the decision I was making to cause a potential disaster and have to fix it, or have to have my family bail me out, which they did on numerous occasions. Um, and God bless them for it. But anyway, I had numerous problems with panic attacks when I was young. I had numerous problems with uh, feeling of isolation, um, feeling of being the outcast, not belonging. I had the long hair, I had the clothes, I had the style of the hippiedom. I didn't date until I was, let's say, 20 or 21. I just was basically afraid of looking stupid and in relationships. I didn't understand what other people wanted in a relationship, and I didn't know what I wanted out of a relationship. But anyway, and if any of you are out there that have panic attacks, have that sort of problem, uh, undaunting fears, um, I'm telling you, I grew out of them. I didn't solve them. I didn't see a shrink. I probably would have gotten over my problems a lot earlier if I had, but I didn't. And I grew out of them. So I just want you to know this hope, okay? No matter how bad your days are, don't end anything without taking a chance on tomorrow. Because if it's worse tomorrow, you can always do something about that, or you can wait till the next day. Um, I've never suffered from depression. I'm ADHD. There's no doubt about it. Incredibly ADHD. But to me, ADHD has allowed me to never dwell on my failures and always imagine that my next success was not just around the corner, but, like in my left pocket and about to happen, in the next couple minutes. It's a marvelous way to be very honest. Uh, I had two marriages. My first one was 10 years, to a woman that was uh, graduated high school when she was 14 and college when she was 18, and was dating a professional hockey player when I swept her away with my charm and good looks and bullshit mainly. And we made it last 10 years, which is pretty impressive. And my second marriage, it was 20 years. Um, my daughter is the result of that marriage, and I would not give up that marriage and the wonderful daughter, and now the wonderful daughter and granddaughter that I have. You've seen my daughter if you follow the channel, because my granddaughter is, um, shall we say, the most fun you can have with a 3-year-old. Um, I really, really love her. I respect her. She came along at a moment when um, I was living alone in a 3-bedroom house, and I really needed her. Her parents um, were living in a place with a roommate with 3 cats, and it just wasn't big enough for a 3-month-old baby to be thrown into the mix. And it was at the start of COVID, or early on in COVID, and I had free income from the government, plus my Social Security. And I kind of spirited my granddaughter away. I said they could have her anytime they wanted to, as long as I got her back. And basically, she lived with me in that 3-bedroom house for a year and a half. And then we moved in with them because their roommate left, and lived with them ever since in 2 different locations. And She lives with me here in this room. She sleeps either on the crib mattress, which is right down here on the floor, or on the mattress on the mattress, the bed mattress, which she will push me out of invariably during the night. She likes to put her feet against me and shove against my head. Um, Subconsciously, we'll go with. I don't want to accuse her of being awake when she does it. But anyway, I had her, and she's been my best friend. Um, I don't really want to talk about my daughter and my son-in-law. Um, they're great kids. They have become really outstanding parents. They really are. They love their daughter. She loves them. She loves me. She loves her, my ex-wife and my ex-wife's boyfriend, who are really good people, great with her. And they don't live too far from us. They get her 3 days, 3 afternoons and evenings a week, as long as I get her back at the end of the night. And her parents and I bring her back here. The rest of the time, she's shared by the family. And like I said, I get her every night till the morning. I get to see that glowing face when I wake up. I get to tickle her and tease her, and she gets to jump on me and claw at my face. And it's a beautiful thing. Um, about 10 years ago, I say pretty close to exactly 10 years ago, I was at the end of my second marriage. Uh, Not that somebody was bad and somebody was good. Um, I cheated on my wife. I'll admit that. She was, as far as I was concerned, she was done with me, romantically and physically, after the baby was born. So I hung in there for about 15 years and thought maybe something would happen. She'd come around. But all my things were still functioning. And I was training horses, really cheap, really poor, really horses nobody else wanted at the racetrack here in California, in Sacramento, California. And after the races, by the time I got done, everybody at home would be asleep, and there was always a number I could call and a little money I could spend and have a date or two. And so, anyways, 10 years ago, when the dating was, I'm not going to say harmless, but it wasn't that much of a deal. It didn't solve any of his problems. It just kind of filled some gaps that I was lonely with. And 10 years ago, when I knew that my wife and I were going to be getting divorced, I suddenly realized that I was going to be single and be available to marry somebody and be available to really fall in love with somebody. And it kind of confused me a little bit because, a 20-year marriage, you're kind of like out of that game, out of that thought process. It doesn't enter into it if you're trying to be married. And so I tried to think, how would I navigate this? Because honestly, the girls I was seeing at that juncture, and I was paying them. I had sugar babies and a mistress during the 3 years leading up to the actual divorce. And I had always pictured one girl in my mind since I was in my early teens. Didn't have a picture of her, but I had a sketch. I had a feeling of what she looked like, of how she glided through life. I had because I was 13, I had no interest in figuring out what she was like mentally, what her wants, her needs, her cares were. It was all about me and somebody that I found beautiful. And anyway, so 10 years ago, I was just coming off of putting a modeling agency together online with a friend of mine from Haiti that was living in the Dominican Republic after the Haitian earthquake, when a few million Haitian teens crossed the border into the Dominican Republic because their parents were dead and their families were dead and their houses were destroyed. And the Dominican Republic looked a lot nicer than Haiti did, and it still looks a lot nicer than Haiti does. Haiti's got some real problems. But anyways, I knew this guy and his sister, and I was talking to them online, and I said, why don't we do a calendar? We got 6 Haitian girls, 6 Dominican girls. I'll give them each $50. Take a picture, put the 12 girls on 12 months of calendars, and we'll try to sell it. We sell it to donate the money to a Haitian orphanage. And so we put it together, and obviously didn't even print a calendar and didn't sell any calendars because it just was cost prohibitive and there was no market for it. And but the girls got their money. My friend made some money on the deal, and that was okay. And flipping through all the over 2,000 Haitian and Dominican girls that he sent me links to and bios of, and he knew some of them, and I'm sure he didn't know some of them. But everybody that I picked, he knew. And I stumbled across one of the models' younger sisters, who was a dead ringer for the girl I'd been in love with all my life. And that was pretty crazy. Of course, I checked her bio right away, even though she looked to be in her teens, which is, the age that I would have imagined her. And I never would have thought of her getting any older all my life. And I looked in her bio, and she was engaged. So that was really cool. I mean, to know that my dream girl had found somebody and was happily engaged with a young man from the village who was a little older than her, his same age as her older sister, who had been one of the models. And I didn't put any more stock into it until one day I got a text message on Facebook. That's what it was using back then. And it was the young lady, and she said, I want to be a model. And I replied to her without saying anything else. You're very pretty, but you look a little young. How old are you? And she said, I'm almost 16, meaning that she was 14 or 15. And first off, I didn't want to get in the middle of it because I already had known enough about her to watch her Facebook on occasion and see that she is in a relationship, and she seemed happy. And I said, you're just too young for me to deal with internationally. And she said, well, I want $30 for a dress. And I thought, you ballsy little 15-year-old. I think that's really cool. And so I said, okay, how do I send it to you? And she gave me her mom's name and contact information for Western Union. And then she responded, make it $50. I want to buy a pair of high heels too. And laughingly, I went on my Western Union account and sent her $50. And she thanked me, and didn't hear anything more from her. And a few months later, I got a message from her again. He said, is it right? My boyfriend went out with his friends tonight and left me at home. And I thought, well, I don't know about the Dominican Republic at night, but at the time, I think she was 16. And her boyfriend was obviously like 19, so he could go out partying at the bars and disco and stuff like that. And she couldn't get in. And I sort of mentioned that to her, and she kind of took the advice. And on her birthday, I sent her, I think, $25 or $30. And I think for Christmas or something, I sent her like $20. Nothing major, just a little something to her mom. And After about a year, she texted me and said she wanted something. I can't remember. It was something inexpensive, like $40. And she said, "You can send it to me. I have ID now." And I guess that was her claim to fame at the time. And she was getting prettier and prettier as she grew. And I sent her whatever it was she wanted for whatever she wanted, and didn't think much more about it. And so when I finally got divorced, I said, I think the perfect thing would be, she had just started university, and I looked on her Facebook page, and she was no longer engaged. And I saw her with a guy that was obviously much older than her previous boyfriend. It turned out to be her uncle, but I didn't know. And so I approached her and I said that I loved her. And yeah, I'm sure she knew that meant that I loved her pictures and I loved how pretty she was and that everything was fine with the way we interacted the few times we had. And she said, "What do you mean?" And I said, "You just started university, right?" She said, "Yeah." And I said, "I've got a deal for you." I said, "I'm dating girls here that are not marry eligible, shall we say. And prostitution is legal in the Dominican Republic. So I'm sure she understood exactly what I meant. And I said, I need to be in love with somebody so I don't fall in love and marry one of these girls that really could never love me because they've had so many damaging things happen. And I'm so old, and it would be really tragic over here. And I want to continue to see them, but I don't want the pressure of being single and feeling like I should marry them or they should accept my marriage proposal. So if you'll let me be in love with you, I will pay for your college." And I already knew that her college was about $80 a month. So it certainly wasn't anything I couldn't afford at the time. And she said, "What?" And I said, "Go to Western Union. There's 3 months tuition waiting for you." And I sent $300, which is a little extra, but she has transportation to the university in Santo Domingo. It was about a 40-minute drive by bus. And so she picked it up and she said, "You're serious?" And she says, "What do I have to do?" Thinking, God only knows what this 30-year-old man wants. And I said, "Well, I've been in love with you all of my life. Unfortunately, your parents weren't born yet. Maybe your grandparents weren't even born yet, but it was close. So anyway, if you allow me to be in love with you, all I request is that once a month you text me and tell me how school's going. You don't send me any pictures. You don't have to look sexy or hot or anything like that. Just tell me how school's going and let me know that my money is going to good use. Because I sure as hell haven't been putting my money to good use. Nobody else has either." And she said, "Okay." And from that day forward, which was June 11th, 2016, I've received a good morning, a good afternoon, how are you doing? What are you doing? How are things going? Every single day now for over 7 years. I think there were about 4 or 5 days when they had storms in the Dominican Republic. If you don't know, the Dominican Republic shares an island with Haiti. They're directly due southeast of Cuba, which is due southeast of Florida, and not that far away. So, anyways, she honestly was very, very attentive, asking me what I was doing, just being polite, nothing diggy, nothing stupid, nothing overtly romantic or nothing like that, but just very pleasant and just very friendly. And she wasn't engaged anymore, and I have a feeling that she was kind of at loose ends as well, as I is now divorced and now living with my daughter and traveling around the country racing horses and gambling and having fun with my friends. And so a year went by about 6 months went by. And I was really appreciating what she was doing for me. So I decided to send her a dozen roses and a balloon that said, I love you, which, I hadn't made any bones about it. I said, I love you to her, not every day, but often enough. And of course, she didn't say anything back. She might send me a heart or a smiley face. I think she was a bit embarrassed about it. And I told her, I don't expect you to love me. I expect you to enjoy what I'm doing for you until the right guy comes along, at which time you just tell me that you found somebody else, and I will stop bothering you. You just block me and we're good to go. And so anyways, I sent her a dozen roses. And trust me, sending a dozen roses, a little I love you balloon, isn't like FTD florist here for $35 or $40. It cost almost $150 to do it. But when she got it, I don't think she'd ever gotten flowers before in her life. She was very, very taken. She was very, very proud. She sent me pictures of her with the bouquet and with the balloon. And I think I really touched her with it. She told me later that she said that's the first time she really, really thought of what sort of guy would do that for her. And so anyways, a year and a half went on, and she got through her first year of college, and COVID started up, I think, around then or a little later. And she was still texting with me. And I asked her, I said, every time and 2-3 times a week, she'd send me a picture of her all dressed up, ready to go out partying somewhere. And I said, it's really sweet of you to send me a picture every time you go out partying and you're dressed up. And she says, what do you mean? I said, well, all these pictures. She says, no, I go and I get dressed up to send you a picture. And she says, then I just change back into my clothes and sit around the house. She says, I don't go out. And I said, oh, wow. I said, well, I really appreciate that. And I said, but in your pictures, you never smile. And she says, yeah. She says, I've got a crooked tooth from sucking my thumb as a baby. And I said, will you show it to me? And she said, yeah, I'm a little embarrassed, but yeah. So she showed it to me. And I said, well, why don't you go to the orthodontist and get some braces put on? And she said, oh, no. She says, it's very expensive. She says, I couldn't possibly be able to afford it. I've never been able to afford it. She says, it's just beyond the scope of what I got. And I said, would you check into how much it is for the whole process? From start to finish, every nickel, every dime, every penny. So I know what you're talking about as far as money goes. And she said, sure. And so a couple of days later, she said, you won't believe how expensive it is. I said, how expensive? And she said, $700 for everything. And it'll take like 2 to 3 years total. And I said, go to Western Union. There's $700 waiting for you right now. And I sent her $700. And she went to Western Union, picked it up. She was in shock. And started the process of getting her teeth straightened. She got a beautiful smile right now. And if you look at me and you see this long mustache, I used to race motorcycles and ride motorcycles. It wasn't the days of a full coverage helmet that did a lot of damage to my mouth and my teeth. I broke my nose a number of times. I raced cars as well. I was better at racing cars than I was at motorcycles. 4 wheels are better than 2, I'll tell you that right now. And that's why the mustache is so long, because I have some oral problems that I need to fix before I go to the Dominican Republic and get married. And I wear the sunglasses because my left eye, probably can't see from here, droops a bit, kind of sags, and my eyes are very light sensitive. So to explain the glasses, the bald head is just because I'm old. So anyway, she got the braces and got them fixed up. And about a year later, it's late 2018, sometime just before Thanksgiving. I'm gonna say in late October. Um, she was screwing around, and she sent me a picture. And in the picture, she was holding up her hand like this, her left hand. And I said, "What's that all about?" And she says, "Don't you think there should be a ring on that?" And I said, "What do you mean?" She says, "Would you consider marrying me and coming over here? And I want 3 children." And I said, "Are you asking me to propose to you?" And she says, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, when did you fall in love with me?" And she says, "Well, I'm not. We've never met in person." She says, "How could we possibly be in love if we've never met in person?" But she said, "You're really nice. I've talked to your daughter on a number of occasions. And your daughter says, if I don't mind old and ugly," she said, "you're really a nice guy and love kids and have a lot of fun, really sweet. And your daughter told me you really do love me." And she says, "That's a great place to start, isn't it?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, usually a little farther along than that. But yeah, I'm not going to say no, of course." I said, "Yeah, I'll propose to you. Would you marry me?" And she accepted. And I said, "How much is a ring over there?" And she says, "Well, let's not waste a lot of money." Obviously, I was sending her more than $100 a month at the time, but nothing to really do. The main thing was every time I sent her money, she got value with it. She bought something that she wanted. She bought something for her niece and nephew who were little, or her little brother, who was, I think, 7 at the time, 6 or 7, 8 maybe. And she always got something. And she bought clothes for herself. She'd make sure to show them to me and try them on for me, do a little fashion show, or she'd take the kids out for ice cream. It was always a reward. Um, the money that I sent her was always, I felt, spent more wisely than if I spent it myself. Oh, and by the way, from June 11th, 2016 on, I never saw another woman. I never went back to my escort friends. I never really even thought much about it. Her texting me every day, um, and the life I had with my daughter and my friends out here seemed to fill up my life and made me happier than I've ever been. And so, anyways, we're getting to the Christmas time of 2018. And I said, "Is there anything you want?" She said, "I like a birthday party." So I sent her some money for a birthday party. And I said, "What about your family?" And she said, "My dad could really use a cell phone." I said, "Well, what are we talking?" And she said, "Just like a cheap $80 cell phone." So I sent her $80 to give to her dad for a cell phone. And I'd never really heard from her dad, although her mother had texted me a couple of times saying how happy her daughter was and how much she appreciated the fact that no, her sister had texted me and said how her sister figured out who I was. And we both admitted to her sister, and she said she was really happy of all we've done. So, anyway, her dad texted me and said, "Thank you very much for the cell phone. Everybody wants something." And I told him, I said, "You're right." I said, "You and I both want the same thing, the best life your daughter can possibly have." I said, "I'm helping her get through college financially, so she doesn't need me. When she graduates with a degree in child psychology, which is what she ended up getting, she's going to have a good enough life there that she doesn't need me to support her, take care of her. She doesn't need to default to me. She can stand on her own." And I said, I put braces on her so that her teeth were straight and she could smile and chat and flirt with other guys and find the right guy. But I said, if by the end of her graduation she doesn't replace me with somebody else, I will come and propose to her. I feel I will have earned the right to ask her to really marry me. Do I have your blessing to continue helping your daughter until she finds the right guy? Or you find the right guy for her? I said, you have my blessing to find somebody better than me. Because like I said, we both want the best life for her. And he said, yes. And about a month later, of course, I told my fiance that what had transpired between her father and I actually copied and pasted it so she could read it. And I said, how's Dad coming on finding you somebody else? And she said, oh, no. He's perfectly happy with you. She says, you're really nice. You're really good. You're helping the whole family out with the money that you're sending me. And you're 3,000 miles away. You can't possibly be any problem. So I thought that was pretty funny. And we went on for a couple more years, texting every day, every midday. Our time zones are 3 hours different during the winter or summer, 4 hours during the winter, something like that. It's 3 and 4 hours. And everything was going well. And something came up. It was getting tough here financially. I think it's when I moved in with my daughter. And, I had to help with the rent. And I said, you really need to cut me loose and find a guy that's worthy. It's your own age. You can grow older together and we'll be around for the entire life of your children and help you and all that. And she didn't say much of anything and signed off. And about 3 hours later, she texted me back and she said, I'm sorry, that won't work. And I said, what's wrong? And she says, I'm in love with you. And I said, you're really in love with me? And she says, yeah. I said, when did that happen? She goes, I guess I never realized how much it meant to me to be able to talk to you every day. That anytime I wanted to, I just pick up my phone and text you and you'd be right there. You responded almost immediately all the time. And she said, I never realized how important that was to me until I thought of you no longer being right there. And she says, I don't want to live without that. So I really want you to come over here and marry me, and we'll make whatever adjustments we have to make this work. And I realize now I have fallen in love with you gradually and over time. And I want to marry you, and I want to have 3 children with you. And I want to live here in the Dominican Republic with my family. And we can go back and forth and see your family. But she said, I want you to come here and make a life with me. And so I said, okay. And I said, of course, I'm honored to do that. And so everything is going well. And as we're speaking right now, it's early October of 2023. And my plan is to be there next summer to give her a couple of weeks with me to get to know me face to face and in person. And then I will hit one knee and propose again. We'll probably do a YouTube video of the proposal. And hopefully she'll say yes. I can't imagine any reason she wouldn't. We've been honest with each other. We've had no problems with each other. We haven't had a lot of fighting. We don't speak each other's language, so we're not going to be able to argue. We'll just have to be happy. So I just wanted to talk to you and tell you that I'm going to try to make more value of this channel. I tried to find an audience, but you know something? I think this is more therapeutic for me than it is about an audience. Once I get to the Dominican Republic and I have a beautiful young wife with me, I think there'll be a lot more interest in the channel as we tell our story as it was, tell this story from her side of it, and travel around her country, discover my new world, discover my new society, hopefully allow me to affect some changes in her village and allow them to change me and make me a better person. Um, I guess that's all for now. But I want to thank anybody that has watched my channel or anybody that has noticed me or anybody that has commented on anything I said. Um, it's really sweet of you. Um, I know we're not really friends because I know what a real friend is. He's 71 years old. I know exactly what a real friend is. And I've had some wonderful ones in my life, and I've been a wonderful friend many times. So thanks a lot. Hope you enjoy this. If anybody sees it, take care. Bye bye.